Hello dear students, before we start our lesson, make sure that you have your small board, a marker, or a piece of paper and a pen. Family and friends, grade 6, semester 1, unit 3, something new to watch, lesson 3, grammar. By the end of the lesson, you will be able to identify the uses of the question how often and the adverbs and adverbials of frequency, and to use the question how often and the adverbs and adverbials of frequency accurately. Now let's read and learn about adverbs of frequency and adverbials of frequency. We're going to see the difference between them. We will start with the adverbs of frequency. We have some examples. We have always, usually, sometimes, rarely, and never. So why do we use them? We use them to say how often we do an activity. So where do we put them in a sentence? We put them before the main verb. We can say, he always reads. I sometimes play. She usually does her homework. Or we can use them after verbs to be like, he is sometimes late. She is always happy. Now let's move to the adverbials of frequency. We have here some examples like every day, once a week, twice a day, 3 times a year, 4 times a month. As you can see, for the adverbs of frequency, we have only one word, and for the adverbials of frequency, we have more than a word. When do we use the adverbials of frequency? We use them to say the number of times we do an activity. So where do we put them in a sentence? We put them at the end of a sentence before words or phrases like day, a day, week, a week. Let's have an example. You can say, I visit my grandma every day. Or you can say, he plays football once a week. So we use it at the end of the sentence before the phrases like day, a day, week, and a week. Now read and learn more about the adverbs of frequency. So the adverbs of frequency show how often we do something. Let's look at this table. It will show you the frequency percentage. We will start with always. As you can see, the row is filled with the dots. It means 100%. The second word we have usually. It's almost full. It means 70%. Third, we have sometimes. It means sometimes you do it and other times you don't do it. It means 50%. We have rarely. It means almost never, only 10%. And the last one we have never. It means you don't do it at all. Now let's read and learn more about the adverbials of frequency. Adverbials of frequency are different from the adverbs. They show us the number of times we do something. Let's look at this table. It will show us the number of times. The first one we have every day or daily. It means you do this activity 7 days in a week. The second one we have 4 times. We have 4 X's. It means you do this activity 4 times a week, a year, or a month. The third one we have 3 times. Okay, it means you do this activity 3 times, a year, a month, or a week again. We have here twice or 2 times. It means you do this activity 2 times. Again, you can say 2 times a year, a month, or a week. The last one, once, or you can say 1 time. And the end we have never. It means you don't do this activity at all. Let's read the following questions and learn. How often does Sarah watch TV? Don't forget the question mark for the question. Another example, how often do you play football and a question mark? So how do we ask a question using how often? We start with how often plus the helping verb does or do plus the subject he, she, it, Ali, Sarah. So you can write a name of a boy or a name of a girl. Then with do, you have to say I, you, we, they, or you can also say names like Sarah and Ahmed, my mother and I. Plus the main verb like watch, play, go, plus the object, TV, football, the beach, and question mark. So you can say, how often does she watch TV? Or you can say, how often do we play football? Now let's read the following sentences and learn. Sarah never watches TV and full stop. As you can see, we added s to the verb because we have a singular noun. You always play football, full stop. So how do we answer the question, how often, with adverbs of frequency? You start with the subject like he, she, it, Ali, Sarah. Or you can say I, you, we, and they, plus the adverbs of frequency, plus the verb or the main verb. As you can see, with he, she, it, one boy and one girl, you have to add s to the verb. And for I, you, we, they, or two names or two persons, you don't add s to the verb. Plus the object like TV, football, the beach, and finally the full stop. Let's have an example. She never watches TV. Or we can say, you sometimes go to the beach. Now let's read the following sentences and learn. We play football 3 times a week. And full stop. He watches TV every day. Full stop. So how do we answer the question how often with adverbials of frequency? You have to start with a subject like he, she, it, Ali, Sarah. Or you can say I, you, we, they, plus the main verb, watches, plays, goes. Or you can say watch, play, and go with these subjects. Plus the object, TV, football, the beach, plus the adverbial of frequency, like every day, twice a week, 3 times a month. And don't forget the full stop. Let's have an example. You can say, she plays football twice a week and full stop. Or you can say, they go to the beach 3 times a month. Now, we will start with the first activity. Let's read the answers and write the questions. You have 4 minutes to finish this activity. Now let's see the answers together. The first one we have Yusuf rides his bike 3 times a day. So the question is, how often does Yusuf ride his bike? Excellent. Question number 2, we have the answer, it never snows in Bahrain. So the question is, how often does it snow in Bahrain? The third picture, the answer is, she goes for a walk in the park twice a week. So the question, how often does she go for a walk in the park? The last picture, let's read the answer. They go to the playground once a week. So the question is, how often do they go to the playground? Good job. Now let's move on to the next activity. In this activity, you're going to answer the following questions using adverbials of frequency. Pay attention that you have the number of times you have to use them in the answer. So for example, for picture number 1, you have 1x, week. The second picture, you have 2x's, week. In picture number 3, you have 3x's, month. And for picture number 4, as you can see, you have endless x's. So you have 5 minutes to answer this activity. Now let's check the answers. Question number 1. How often do you visit your relatives? I visit my relatives once a week or one time a week. Question number 2. How often does he play basketball? He plays basketball twice or 2 times a week. Question number 3. How often does he go fishing? He goes fishing 3 times a month. Number 4. How often does she use the computer? She uses the computer every day or daily. Good job. Now let's move to the last activity. In this activity, you're going to write sentences using adverbs or adverbials of frequency. So look at the pictures carefully and don't forget to use capital letters at the beginning of sentences. Use a full stop at the end of the sentence. Use finger space between words. Check your spelling. Use correct tense and use the adverbs and adverbials of frequency. You have 4 minutes to finish this activity. Now let's see the sentences together. Number 1, we have I brush my teeth 3 times a day. Number 2, you have the kids watch cartoon every day. Number 3, Ali reads a novel once a month. And the last one, Sam never writes on the wall. Good job. So this is the end of our lesson. Thank you for watching. I hope it was a useful lesson. See you soon.